Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the third day of the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipation Summit. Today, we are fully focused on the topic of quantum solutions for all. My name is Sandro Giuliani. I'm the CEO of GESDA, and I have the privilege to guide you today through the program. This is a key day for GESDA. We've been working very hard over the last years to this moment, and we've brought the day together for you in 4 parts. The first part is the opening and the welcome remarks of the 2 co-hosts of the day, Federal Councillor Ignazio Cassis and GESDA Chairman Peter Brabeck. The second part will focus on the journey the OQI has taken in the last 2 years, from the design phase to the incubation phase to today. The third part, after the break, will be focused on the high-level political segment on quantum solutions for all. This is a ministerial panel with the participation of 10 countries. And last but not least, we will, at the end of the day, officially launch the Open Quantum Institute and present you the hosting and supporting partners. But enough for the moment. I now invite Federal Councillor Ignazio Cassis to the stage for his welcoming remarks. It's a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to have you with us today. Federal Councillor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliani, dear Chairman of GESDA, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The world is moving fast, and technological advances are one of the main reasons why. Today, we all hear and read about the disruptive power of AI and witness how various forms of artificial intelligence are already shaping the lives of millions of people around the world. However, there is another technology that may not get as many headlines in the popular press, but is expected to be at least as disruptive as artificial intelligence, and it is quantum computing. With the power to radically change the way we communicate and process information, it opens up new ways of solving currently unsolvable problems, but also puts the encryption we rely on today at risk. It is therefore not surprising that the GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar has identified quantum computing as a key technology with strong potential for the future. The radar predicts that quantum computing will be used in real-world applications within 10 years, and that within 25 years, these devices will have reached a level of maturity that will allow them to perform simulation in chemistry and material sciences that are simply not possible with conventional technology. Decades of academic research into quantum computing has led to significant investment from both technology companies and government initiatives. According to the World Economic Forum, total investment in range of quantum technology has reached $35 billion by 2022, with $2 billion invested in startups this year alone, a figure that continues to grow. Both established companies and startups are taking advantage of the momentum and working on application in areas such as quantum computing and sensing. One of the pioneers is the Swiss company ID Quantique, a spin-off from the University of Geneva. Our 2 Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, ETHZ and DPFL, are among the first universities to introduce master's programs in quantum science and engineering. This great dynamism is raising expectations of reaping the benefits of quantum technologies in general and quantum computing in particular. But what makes this technology so special? What distinguishes quantum computing from classical computing? To answer this question, you need to take a deep dive into quantum mechanics, the world of the smallest particles. Now, trying to fully understand the details of quantum mechanics may be too much of a challenge for a medical doctor like me. I have no problem admitting this, by the way, because I find, forgive the expression, a quantum of comfort in the great physicist Richard Feynman, who said in 1964, "I think I can safely say that nobody really understands quantum mechanics." Did he make this statement to reassure politicians, or was it the coquetry of a physics genius? Either way, since then, science has made important progress in understanding the foundations and implications of quantum mechanics. But the world of qubits, with their intriguing properties such as superposition and entanglement, still holds many secrets and no less challenges, which I see mainly on three levels: the fundamental, the technological, and the societal level. First, the fundamental level. Physicists, chemists, and other scientists regularly come across completely unexpected phenomena, such as existing properties of materials, which in turn open up new possibilities for application. This is the fundamental level, still a very active area of research. The importance of basic research is also reflected in recent Nobel Prize winners. Just a few days ago, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to quantum researchers. And last year, it was the quantum researchers who won the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work. Going back to Richard Feynman, he was a leading figure in a group of scientists who had a vision in the 80s of a new kind of computer based on quantum mechanics that could allow us to design entirely new quantum systems. This has become known as the second quantum revolution, in contrast to the first revolution 100 years ago, for which brilliant minds such as Max Planck, Erwin Schrödinger, Werner Heisenberg, Albert Einstein, and others laid the foundations. We can now control quantum systems, photons, atoms, ions, molecules, and others, with such precision that we can make them do almost anything we can think of. And there are many things that scientists and engineers are thinking about. Quantum devices for secure communication, or for measuring magnetic fields, with a precision that we could only dream of 15 years ago. I'm thinking of the development of new drugs, more energy-efficient way of producing fertilizers, or materials for batteries with higher energy density. There are many promising results, but we don't yet know what the killer applications of quantum computers will be. So we'll still have a lot to learn at this level of technology. Quantum technologies will have a direct impact on society as a whole, in health, in energy, food, and many other areas. But we have to be honest and say that today we don't know exactly what the impact will be. These are the societal challenges. In line with GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar, we are confident that we will see impacts on people, society, and the planet in the coming years and decades. It's time to prepare ourselves for a human-centered use of quantum computing. Today, there are gaps between the fundamental and technological levels and between the technological and the societal levels that need to be bridged. We need a quantum-ready society going beyond the interests of individual players at corporate or national level. I am therefore grateful that GESDA has initiated and curated a diplomatic dialogue on quantum computing, gathering guidance from the private sector, academic institutions, and permanent representatives to the United Nations and other international organizations here in Geneva. This dialogue aims to help advance the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. It goes hand in hand with a strong belief that science and diplomacy must work together to ensure that scientific and technological breakthroughs benefit all of humanity, not just a select few. The field of science diplomacy, born here in Geneva, exactly here where we are today, almost 70 years ago with the creation of CERN, is experiencing a second spring and is likely to shape the international Geneva of this early 21st century. But how do we move from good intentions to concrete implementation? To do this, the Open Quantum Institute is being launched today. The core mission of this multilateral cross-sector science diplomacy initiative is to create a market of quantum use cases for the SDGs by 2026. A special prize will encourage the articulation of such use cases, focusing on 3 topics: zero hunger, good health, and climate action. The Open Quantum Institute will work along 3 priorities. First, to ensure global and broad access to the critical infrastructure through a pool of private and public quantum computers. Second, to promote education and training in quantum computing, to know what it is about. Third, to activate diplomacy to shape multilateral governance rules for the use of quantum computing. We firmly believe that everyone should have the right to benefit from science. Its potential should be harnessed for the advancement of humanity and cooperation between nations. We must steer its development towards beneficial applications that are not driven only by economic or military considerations. Yes, some, ladies and gentlemen, some might say that such ideas are naive, at odds with geopolitical realities. To these voices, I would say we should not underestimate the human imagination and its ability to make the impossible possible. What we are trying to do with GESDA is new and therefore difficult. The combination of anticipation, which looks far ahead, and action, which must be immediate, is a challenge in itself. And the method by which we want to build this bridge is new and untested. Personally, however, I have yet to see a better proposal than science diplomacy for how the international community can prepare for the challenges of new technologies. We are here at CERN a successful example of science diplomacy founded at a time of great geopolitical tensions, exactly like today. It has been operating for decades and produced an impressive number of open innovations through international cooperation. There we are. Let's seize the opportunity offered by quantum technologies and harness their potential to unite, not divide, nations and people. I hope we can persuade many of you today to support this vision. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Federal Councillor Cassis, for laying the floor of this day. And I would like to hand over the word to the Chairman of the GESDA Foundation, Peter Brabeck.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Federal Councillor Cassis, for your profound reflections on what GESDA is trying to do and on our first result, which is the Open Quantum Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's about 2 years ago, it was in October 2021, that we embarked on a journey that since has opened new avenues in the field of science and diplomacy. I was standing before you in this October 2021 with the first edition of GESDA's Science Breakthrough Radar, which constitutes a visionary report that has since then shaped our work. One of its chapters at that time focused on quantum technology and recognizing that quantum technology was not just an emerging scientific field, but possibly one of the most disruptive technologies of our time. So during this 2021 summit, our science diplomacy dialogue, which we held together with you, concluded several critical areas to be addressed by GESDA. The first one was to mitigate the risk of a future even bigger digital divide. And this should be done by ensuring more inclusivity in the access, but also in the exploitation of this new technology. The need to assure that the use of the technology is focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, because we know that this attainment is quite strong in retard. And perhaps by accelerating the use of quantum computers, we could regain a little bit dynamic about it. And the crucial role of diplomacy to achieve this technology's promise with a multi-stakeholder approach, which is always, and for GESDA very important, always founded on robust science, and then the field experience of industry, philanthropy, and confronted with diplomacy. So in a nutshell, 2021, what you have been asking GESDA was to work on a concept of quantum for all. So 1 year later, in October 2022, we presented GESDA's proposal to create an Open Quantum Institute here in Geneva to address those needs which were identified. And this was the result of a multi-stakeholder task force bringing together leaders of academia, diplomacy, industry, and philanthropy. And allow me, I would like to take this opportunity to address my profound thanks to two persons who chaired this task force. And both of us are, of course, with us. One is Anousheh Ansari, founder and CEO of X-Prize, and the other one is Matthias Treuer, Microsoft Vice President in charge of Quantum. Thank you very much for having chaired this effort. But I include in this thanks, of course, all contributors of this insightful work. So today, 2 years later, we are gathered here for the 2023 edition of our summit. So what has happened during this last year? Well, as a follow-up of the last year's summit, GESDA Board of Directors decided to fund the Open Quantum incubation phase, which would serve two purposes. Firstly, it kickstarted the work of the Open Quantum Institute in a prototype mode to check if it was realizable what we were proposing, We wanted to do, like in science, to have the prototype to see whether it could work. And secondly, it served to elaborate and to confirm a governance and a financing model to assure the sustainability of the Open Quantum Institute. I think with these actions, GESDA Foundation fulfilled its mission and GESDA's management its task as outlined in our official status. GESDA is an instrument of anticipation and of action. GESDA is not only a think tank. GESDA has to be also a do tank. And in effect, based on its yearly science breakthrough radar, GESDA is committed to design ideas of solutions for effective multilateralism with the science diplomacy community. But GESDA is equally committed to effectively launch the most globally relevant and transformative of its solution. And the priority is being set by you, ladies and gentlemen, always during our summit. And yes, we are anticipating future scientific breakthroughs, but this anticipation must be ultimately finishing in action. It is through joint action that we galvanize energy and resources. By acting in the present, we enable human agencies. We create the conditions for the technology to best benefit mankind as a whole when ready to be effectively deployed. And today, we are delighted to show our first major step as a do tank, which is the inauguration of the Open Quantum Institute. It is a tribute to the dedication and collaboration of all the GESDA community. Together, we have seized the opportunity to shape the future of science, diplomacy, and in particular, quantum frontier together. So let us carry this spirit of action and unity forward. Let us continue to innovate, to bridge gaps, to create a world where the promise of science benefits all of humanity. Before giving the floor to Professor Barry Sanders, who is a member of the Open Quantum Institute Incubation Advisory Board, and who will moderate the upcoming session, explaining the Open Quantum Institute in all details, I would like to thank the global community who have spearheaded this project and without whom all of this wouldn't have been possible. And there are more than 100 of those community people here in the rooms. So thank you very much. Finally, let me give a special thank to you, to the more than 20 permanent representatives of the missions of the UN office at Geneva, who all participated in the design of GESDA and produced, under the leadership of State Secretary Alexander Fasel, as members of GESDA Diplomatic Forum, the first intelligence report on the governance of quantum for the Sustainable Development Goals, a report we have the pleasure to officially release as of today. This is one of the many concrete results of their commitment to the Open Quantum Institute project, which came to life based on the regular diplomatic working dinners held here in Geneva by the permanent representatives of Switzerland, Morocco, France, and Mexico, who are all here today at this important moment and whom I thank very specially. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me finish by thanking all of you for coming to celebrate with us this important milestone for GESDA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. With these two ground-setting floors as the speeches, setting the debate, the basis for the discussions and the presentations coming up, we now move to the second part, which I introduced before, which is the story of the making of the Open Quantum Institute. and we start with a short video on it.
Welcome, everybody, to this momentous occasion, incubating the OQI, and I have the pleasure of being the moderator here. I'd like to remind everybody that you can also participate in the conversation on social media, hashtag GESDA Summit, so be sure to share your thoughts and the excitement of this event socially if you do that. My name is Barry Sanders. I'm a professor at the University of Calgary. And as you've heard, I'm on the advisory board for OQI, and I've been involved since the start at the radar stage, and I really appreciate being part of this important initiative. For those who weren't here last year or didn't read the radar, let me try to explain briefly what quantum computing is about. So quantum computing is a form of computing. I think we understand what computing is, but it's radically different at the very fundamental stage. So the very rules of logic itself get transformed by quantum principles. It's highly disruptive. Quantum computing is not about speeding up computers to do things. It's about changing the very notion of what is hard or easy for a quantum computer to be able to do. And we see a lot of national industrial interest in building quantum computers, and the quantum computer progress, the progress in building these machines, is amazing and going very fast, and we'll hear more about it here. So the objective for today is to tell you how far we've come from last year's summit. And in the video, you saw what we just call for short the 4 A's, and this session is built upon the story of the 4 A's. We're going to start with the first A, accelerating applications for humanity. And we have another exciting video on use cases. Please play it. Okay, so this session is about accelerating use cases, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce two panelists, Laura Piddock, who's the Scientific Director of the Global Antibiotic Research and Development Partnership, or in brief, GARD-P, and Matthias Christandl, who's a professor in the Department of Mathematical Sciences at the University of Copenhagen. And I'd like to start by asking you a question, Matthias. So you've been part of a use case team that was curated by the OQI to illustrate the potential of quantum computing to serve the Sustainable Development Goals. Would you tell us briefly what your use case is about and why you feel it's important to engage as a researcher in an initiative like the OQI?
Yeah, so quantum computing is a new form of computing, and one of the areas where quantum computing is expected to make a large impact is drug discovery. And one can understand this very simply because a drug is a molecule, and molecules made of atoms and behave quantum mechanically. So the idea of quantum simulates quantum is a very strong one here. And so this is sort of the work we're doing in our research center of quantum computing for drug discovery. So when Marika from GESDA asked me to engage with the UN organizations in seeing how this could be beneficial for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we're of course extremely excited because as a researcher, I mean, this really raises the bar, right? Sort of like raises the goal of what you can do and how you can impact with your research. And so brought us together with GARD-P and also with startup Alphanesos to investigate how that works, how could we see a vision for quantum computing impact, antimicrobial resistance.
And would you like to say a bit more about where OQI helps play a key role?
Yeah, so I think the first aspect where it plays a key role is really sort of like giving it a different focus. So giving it a focus and focusing on saying like, hey, it should be beneficial for all. It should benefit the Sustainable Development Goals. But then at the same time, it's an organization, and we see this here, all of you see that in the coffee breaks and in discussions, it's bringing together people that have the same goal, to bring together the UN organizations, the researchers, the expertise, the diplomacy, to bring them together. And I think this was what I found extremely exciting, and I met a lot of extremely interesting people through this process, and I think that's what I'm here, and I'm expecting a lot of you also here for that reason.
Oh, that's really good. Thanks. Can I turn over to you, Laura? So GARD-P is driving antibiotic development and access so that infections are treatable for everyone. And GARD-P is the impact partner in the antimicrobial resistance, or AMR for short, use case team. Could you tell us why your organization would engage with this very explorative endeavor, and what would be the key success factors that you would look at for this endeavor?
Thank you. So whilst most of the work of GARD-P is in clinical development so that we get new drugs and treatments to patients, you've got to keep populating that pipeline, and there are so many failures. It's a high-risk venture, particularly the very early stages, such as discovery that Matthias has just mentioned. And what quantum computing really offers here is the opportunity to fail quickly, therefore succeed, because a lot of the failures early on are about finding molecules that are fantastic in a test tube, but really dreadful in people. So what we can do is bring together all these disparate fields to start looking at what we know about from artificial intelligence work done in the most recent years about molecules that will bind quickly to targets, what targets are best. But one of the things we'd really think that quantum can make a big difference in, and a potential significant breakthrough, is we all talk about combinations. Why aren't we using combinations of drugs? What we should really be looking at is combinations of way we attack the bacteria, and then making sure when we go through and we identify these molecules, we can also use quantum computing to disregard the toxic parts of those molecules so that only the best ones then go on and get tested in people.
That's great. And maybe you could say a bit more about how OQI is a vehicle towards that success?
Well, it's an amazing vehicle because, you know, without the people here today and meeting Matthias at this meeting, we would not be able to forge these very disparate partnerships and these, you know, to make these big changes, these big scientific advances to benefit human health requires partnerships from very different groups, very different technologies, and it's the only way we're going to do things quickly. Because at the moment, even using the best computing power we've got, we're still not radically reducing the time it takes to discover something and turn that into a new treatment. We're still talking about at least a decade. And this really offers the opportunity of a breakthrough to start reducing that time.
That's very nice. Would you like, either of you like to comment on, you're from very different fields, so what's the experience in finding common ground and building a language?
Yeah, so I can maybe say, so from a, so a quantum computer is a computer, right? So in some sense. It's a computer, so if quantum computing is going to have an impact, it's going to address a computational problem. So the first thing in working together with GARD-P and the startup Alphanasas was to what is the computational problem we have to attack. So we're sitting together and like finding out which computational problem is it that we should attack, and then scope out a path in which quantum computing might attack it in the future. And a natural path to that, and that's why the startup was involved, is that there are approaches using AI at the moment, and so then you can sort of like, you have already this computational set of problems in there, and you're building and scoping out how a future, more powerful computer could impact it.
Thank you for that. And Laura, can you maybe just talk about the importance of de-risking the research? You know, what does the quantum computer offer? Is this really a risk mitigation? How do you see strategically this fit?
Okay, so at the moment we have lots of different organisations throughout the world, academia as well as companies, identifying the properties that make a good drug, okay? But right back to basics, how do we get these drugs, these potential drugs, into bacteria? And that's a massive problem. And if you look at the World Health Organization priority pathogen list, which has a critical need for new treatments, there are a particular group of bacteria that basically have two barriers to getting drugs in and keeping them into the cell. So one of the things that this technology will do, allow us to bring together all the knowledge we have about what makes something get in a cell and stay inside, together with the chemicals that could stick to those targets inside the cell, but not be toxic. Now, at the moment, it's all trial and error. And what we're getting at the moment from the work we're doing is we're getting the idea of the targets we could go for. We're in a separate project, the chemical matter. We need to marry it together, but more than that, how many targets could we try and get at the same time? What molecules could work together against more than one target? And that's why you need things like quantum computing.
Very, very nice explanation. Okay, so I'd like to conclude this session by mentioning that the OQI plays a key role in these kinds of use cases. It's the only platform in the quantum space that enables United Nations organizations to support the assessment of the future impact of quantum computing. I'd like to thank you both for your reflections.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll bring the next speakers to the stage. So Matthias Prince. Okay, thank you both for joining. I hope you're keeping count. There are 4 A's. We're on A number 2. A number 2, access for all. And the context for this is OQI aims to provide global, inclusive, and equitable access to a pool of public and private computers and simulators. This is a key objective. And so for this purpose, OQI is working with quantum computing providers from the private sector and soon national ones. And these providers donate time on their quantum computers. One of the 8 partners is Microsoft, represented here by Professor Matthias Treuer, who also, as you've heard earlier, served as a co-chair of GESDA's Quantum Task Force. So I'll begin with you, Matthias. Why is global, inclusive, and equitable access important to you and Microsoft?
Okay, thank you, Neperi, for the panel here and all the audience for joining us. The good news is that the promise of quantum is real. The applications we heard about will be possible. And that will let us we can address some of the mankind's the challenges, climate change, food security, human health. And while we still have to do lots of progress in science, engineering to get there, we need to look beyond the technology. We need to look at the people, because we need the best minds, we need the most diverse perspectives, we need the most the creative people to make it real. At Microsoft, we are building the quantum computers for these problems, but we cannot do so alone. We need the global genius for that, and that's why we want to work with academia, industry, the governments to make it real. And that's the initiatives like GESDA and now the OQI are essential for that. And I feel the privilege to have been a part of the process of creating the OQI, where we want to find a responsible way of making the access to quantum inclusive and equitable, and working with the best minds around the world to making it real.
Okay, very nicely put. And then, yeah, so you're searching for the best minds of the world. That gives me a nice segue to introduce Prince Ose. Prince is director of Quantum Leap Africa, which is headquartered in Kigali in Rwanda, and he's also the director of the Ghana branch of AIMS. AIMS is the African Institute for Mathematical Science. So Prince, I'd like to ask you, how is the AIMS community building capacity to equip global talent to fully benefit of the kind of access that Matthias was talking about?
Thank you very much. I would like to start by saying that talents abound in Africa, but these talents need access to the science and technologies in these fields to actually unlock their potential. The African Institute for Mathematical Sciences have a proven track record of building scientific centers of excellence across Africa. We are now established in South Africa, Senegal, Cameroon, Ghana, and Rwanda, with almost 3,000 alumni from our unique postgraduate program, which is based on a model which gathers the brightest talents from across Africa under one roof and bring some of the best professors from all over the world to teach them. It's already creating a stream of young African scientists who are making impact in different fields. Every year we receive over 5,000 applications in our program for 300 spots, and AIMS has actually become a magnet for attracting Africa's brightest students. So what the Open Quantum Institute will do for us is to allow a lot of our students who are interested and specialize in quantum and quantum technology to have access to quantum computers and the infrastructure that they need to develop in these fields.
And would you like to say a little bit more about the quantum part of the story?
Yes. So at AIMS, we have an initiative, which is the Quantum Leap Africa, that is led by AIMS. And the goal is to prepare Africa for the coming quantum revolution. Africa has missed a number of revolutions, and we believe that we need to actually play a leading role in the development and the deployment of this technology. And that is why AIMS has established this initiative and working on building expertise in quantum, who will be able to take advantage and utilize the power of quantum technology to solve problems in Africa and humanity as large.
Thank you very much. I'd like to turn back to you, Matthias. So what else is needed to achieve global access and ensuring that applications designed towards societal impact can be designed inclusively?
Yeah, thank you. That's the deep question. I've worked on quantum now for more than 2 decades, and we're at the point now where we have the clarity what we can do with quantum and the clarity what's needed to get there. The one piece is education, as we mentioned. But it's not just for quantum, because we'll use quantum computers, the Swift supercomputers with AI together. So we need to educate people globally around that. But more is needed. And the reason is quantum computing is, like most new technology, it's dual use. And there are risks with it. And those risks cause barriers to be built up. One risk, for example, is the same machines that we'll use to tackle the challenges we mentioned, those same machines will break some of our current cryptography. Now, the good news here is we have new cryptographic schemes that are quantum resistant. And thus what we have to do between industry, governments, academia, we have to deploy the new quantum safe cryptography. The answer is not limiting access. The answer is upgrading our crypto to keep us safe. Because by limiting access to it, we only limit progress. With limit progress, will not get the benefits. So the first priority is that we have to work together to prioritize the security while embracing the innovation. That means we have to accelerate the move to so-called post-quantum cryptography, which will keep our data safe in the world with the quantum computers. And then we have to find a way to collaborate to enable the positive use of quantum when the technology, like all of your computing and chemistry, material science, it is fundamentally dual use. And so we have to learn from what we learned on AI, how to use the AI in a responsible way and broaden it to think more broadly about what is a way to do computing responsibly, supercomputing, AI, and quantum, and learn from that so that we can enable good use without doing harm. And I'm really excited to see that in my lifetime it will be possible to use quantum computers to tackle those the challenges. And the more we can bring the world's the talent to baronate, the faster we'll get there. Then that's why I'm excited to now see the OKI becoming real and seeing how it will help us get there.
Thanks, Matthias. And of course, we appreciate you've played a major role in making OQI happen. Yeah. And Prince, again, we've heard how much talent is needed globally. Would you like to comment on strategy or success factors for AIMS and particularly quantum and AIMS to deliver on that need?
Yes, so let me start by saying that we need, our story at AIMS has shown with bringing different students from different backgrounds and culture together and professors from different background and culture has been very powerful in stimulating and creating capacity that brings a lot of success in different fields. So what I want to emphasize is that we need to ensure that people from different backgrounds and culture are actually at the leading edge of creating this technology and deploying this technology. And the model that we have shown at AIMS demonstrates to this fact.
Thanks. And then I'll just comment from my personal experience. So you're doing an amazing job building up that capacity, but we're all there to help. So me, myself, I've taught at AIMS a couple of times, taught quantum courses, and then I've done things where in Canada we've had funding to support AIMS alumni to come over for additional training and experience in Canada in various ways. Not trying to go on about what I'm doing, but it's an example of what everybody can do. So I think with this capacity building in Africa, with OQI, we can all step in to help. We can provide resources, support people coming over, do some teaching, etc. Okay. So I'll just add that education and capacity building are certainly, these are enabling conditions to establish a quantum computing ecosystem. It's actually one of the key resource shortages, not just having quantum computers available, but people who understand how they work and where the advantages lie. So it's to establish a quantum computing ecosystem that are beneficial to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'd like to thank both of you for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the third A, which is advancing capacity building. And I'd like to invite Sana and the representatives of the hackathon winners to come to the stage. Oh, stage left. Okay, thanks for joining us. Okay, so we have on stage Sana Ode from New York University, Shanghai. We've got an Alan Bar. New York University, Abu Dhabi. And New York University. Thanks. Okay, thank you for coming to the stage. And I'd also like to mention we have Alan Baranoff and Yafa Jaradat, who are both representing the hackathon team, and the hackathon team is here in the audience. Okay, OQI is aware that access to machines will not suffice to ensure inclusive development of the technology and its applications. Education is also needed. In 2023, OQI has initiated a few pilot projects to build and disseminate educational tools to reach out specifically to young people from quantum underserved geographies. One of these is a partnership with New York University's Hackathon Quantum for Social Good. We're proud to have the talents here today who won the hackathon that was in Abu Dhabi this year, where 200 students from 24 countries came together to build applications of quantum computing. And OQI and GESDA played a key role in this. Sana, you are the curator of the hackathon. Can you briefly tell us what your 3 core objectives with the hackathon and the partnership are?
Thank you, Barry, and thanks to GESDA. We're very honored to be here today on the stage to present what basically, if we all come together, bring very talented people from around the world and allow them access to the best science and technology, what they can do. So when I basically I'm a professor at NYU New York, and I went to Abu Dhabi to set up the computer science department. And I thought of developing this hackathon because I really believe that diversity and inclusivity are at the heart of basically innovation, and especially bringing scientific innovations. And that's why I think that the GESDA Summit being here, especially at the core of science and diplomacy, is really important to everybody today, especially bringing AI and quantum computing to the talented world. Another thing, I think it's really our responsibility to allow access and opportunities to everyone around the world to benefit from opportunities in science and technology, especially what it's going to offer. I mean, millions of the jobs in the future will be dependent on the knowledge from AI and quantum computing. Another important point is that I think it's really important to prepare the talented young people from everywhere around the world in science and technology, the latest development, and to prepare them to understand how they can build projects, how to benefit from experiment from these amazing applications, and to showcase, launch their career, and to present applications that basically, hopefully, will impact our future and solve a lot of the problems that our society is suffering from. I'm really proud of the partnership with GESDA. I think it transformed the hackathon because we bring around 200 talented people from around the world, and we build, and again, we use the latest technology. We teach them even in 3 days, and some of them come with no skills in AI and in quantum computing. But we teach them these skills. But I think with GESDA, what GESDA brought to it is the Sustainable Development Goals, bringing the international organization, the UN, to guide and prepare our students to build these sustainable applications that will have impact locally and globally. And we're really proud of this partnership this year. It brought the level to build these sustainable application and to have a social impact. And we're so proud to be here today on this stage, and with the partnership to showcase, to give you a glimpse of what talented people can do when they come together, even though sometimes they don't have the skills needed. But even with short amount of time, they can really do magic. And we're very proud to be on the stage today with these talented representatives from the group that won the GESDA Award at the NYU Abu Dhabi Hackathon. And hopefully you'll be dazzled that they did, like we were all dazzled, but they were what they were able to build in just a few days. It's really a glimpse of hope into the future of how GESDA and the international community, when they come together, they can actually really do great things and allow us to innovate in a big way.
Thanks. I've had the privilege of participating last year and this year, and one thing that struck me at the hackathon is a number of students told me that it was a life-changing event for them. Do you want to just elaborate a bit on the outcomes of these hackathons?
Yeah, I think it's, thank you for your impact and for your efforts. I think it's really wonderful to be able to work with young people, talented young people. And again, it doesn't matter where they come from. Even though with the minimal knowledge that they have, we put teams together with and connect them with amazing talent from the world, like Barry and many other people actually that are here. And along with expertise from the UN around sustainable goals, that allowed us to present to them sustainable problems to work on, and allowed them to go back with this knowledge, the skills from computer science, whether it's AI, data science, quantum computing, plus the sustainable development goals. And they can go back now to their countries and take these knowledge and skills And then impact, yeah, I mean, the impact is definitely evident because they come and you can see that they have their raw talent, but when they leave, it's almost like they're PhD students after they present, actually. So it's the impact is huge, and they walk away with all the connection to 200 people, top people from all over the world, and they're also the know-how and the knowledge. So it's extremely important, and the impact is immediately felt.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So Alan, Yafa, you were both members of the winning team. So I'd like you to stand up and go to the lectern and tell us about your project, Smart Current, and what made the hackathon a unique experience.
So I'd like to start by recognizing the team who's all here with us. We came from all over the world, different countries, different cultures, but we had one goal in mind. We are Smart Current team, and we set our aims on minimizing blackouts.
In 2021, a devastating blackout plunged Palestine into darkness, leading to a heartbreaking tragedy. Hassan and Jamila, two new parents, lost their newborn Ahmad due to oxygen machine being dead. This doesn't need to happen. Ahmad is one of hundreds of cases like this in the world. The transformation of our energy grids holds the promise of preventing such heart-wrenching losses. With Smart Current, we can make life safer and easier for families like Ahmad's. Even in the USA, yearly damage from blackouts exceeds $100 billion. Can you imagine what's the impact in North Africa, where blackouts are over 30 times more frequent and longer in duration? It hampers economic output and most sustainable development goals. Did you know that simply by managing power more efficiently, we can reduce the risk of a blackout by about 60%? Surprising, right? Now, you may be wondering, what about the traditional methods to solve this issue? Well, as we add more renewable energy sources to the grid, it becomes more complex, and the old optimization cannot keep up in real time. So we automate a real-time power flow management. How do we do it? Here is an overview of our project Smart Current, starting with a live table or response dashboard, going through the machine learning model and our own source quantum implementation.
This tool allows us to predict where blackouts might occur. It uses a special technique called quantum topological data analysis, which analyzes how businesses and homes and power stations are all connected in the grid. And with this tool, we could pinpoint where we think the blackouts will occur. And using the tool, we could reroute electricity so that there's no widespread blackouts. A very natural question is, why quantum? Why use quantum computers, especially for an algorithm that already has a classical version? Well, the thing is, the classical algorithm runs far less efficiently than the quantum version, meaning it can handle small-scale problems just fine. But when you take it up to the size of an entire country's power grid, it slows down to a crawl. And forget about doing it in real time. It's just not possible. So we can see how quantum computers can help. But it's not just a cool idea. It's a real business. We've mapped out a growth plan with key potential partners so that we could grow both in the short term and in the long term. With all of that being said, our team had a great time at the hackathon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. That's a wonderful presentation and obviously a very important topic. I'd like to turn the conversation a bit So thinking about your own quantum story, what's your key message to diplomats, UN leaders, and scientists?
I'd first like to say that I'm deeply honored to be invited as a guest of the Open Quantum Institute and Youth Cohort at this momentous summit and inauguration here in Geneva. My journey through the hackathon was a transformative experience. For the first time, I had the privilege of joining a worldwide group of quantum enthusiasts working on exploring the benefits of quantum computing and the possibilities for the benefit of all. Our team, Smart Current, we stayed up all night chugging away at the blackout problem. I'd like to recognize not only their determination, but everyone who contributed to the hackathon, from Sana to the mentors pushing the quantum frontier, to the students eager to learn. At my time in the summit, I've seen in this room the same energy that I have seen during the hackathon. We all know that there's going to be a lot of problems along the way, a lot of problems that we need to solve. But we are standing on the brink of a monumental shift in computing power. The number of qubits, the amount of power in a quantum computer is doubling annually. And we will soon have to deal with the power that we will wield with these new machines. This highlights a shared responsibility for us, raising awareness. To me, quantum computing is our shared future, and it demands the world's attention. The Open Quantum Institute is more than just a project. It's a compelling call to action. It's a heartfelt plea for a world where every brilliant mind from every corner of the planet can contribute and harness the potential of quantum computing. And with multilateral cooperation, we can help set up the guardrails that are necessary with this new technology. And then when we bring everyone to the table, from scientists to diplomats, technologists, politicians, we could make sure that we maximize the growth of the field. Before I pass the stage to Yafa, I'd like to leave you with a thought that I hope resonates with you. We can harness quantum's growth, quantum's energy, without resisting its momentum. I really hope that this summit and the Open Quantum Institute marks the start of a new era in quantum science and global cooperation.
Thanks, Ellen. My journey was full of challenges and obstacles. Started in Palestine and led me to the world of quantum computing. It began with a dream, driven by unwavering determination and resilience. As a Palestinian woman, being part on an event like this means more than just an opportunity. It represents a deeply meaningful moment. Quantum computing extends beyond the world of numbers and algorithms. It's about endless possibilities. It's a field where innovation knows no boundaries and invites us all to explore this uncharted territory, to become pioneers of positive change. It's a field that joins experts in various fields for a multidisciplinary endeavor for the good of humanity. My personal journey into quantum computing has given me many opportunities and the responsibility to share what I've learned with my community, with my country. That's why I dream of becoming one of the first Palestinian women with a degree of quantum computing, because I'm coming from Palestine Polytechnic University and from Palestine, where there is no any opportunity to study quantum. Last but not least, this journey goes beyond individual achievement. It's about a nation that doesn't let challenges define its future, but instead creates its own path. I envision a future where barriers break down, dreams come true, We harness technology for the benefit of many. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and I have truly begun it. Let's use the future to build the present. I would like finally to express my deep gratitude for being given the honor of being here with you. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm very grateful to Sana and to the representatives of the hackathon team. I just wanted to insert a word that, you know, Yafa went through a very difficult journey to get here and to go home. So thank you for that. Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. So we move on to the next day. I hope you're still remembering to count those. Activating multilateral governance for the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's a great pleasure to invite Urvashi Sinha, who's come from the Raman Research Institute in Bangalore in India.
Thanks, Barry. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and colleagues, I stand here today with immense honor and pleasure on the third day of the GESDA Summit 2023. As was mentioned, I'm Urvashi Sinha. It's not Urbasi, it's Urvashi Sinha, and I am a professor at the Raman Research Institute in Bengaluru in India. I have been involved in the development of the Open Quantum Institute since 2020, first as a task force member and then as an advisory board member during its incubation, advising particularly on stakeholder engagement. So please allow me to summarize the key takeaways of today's fantastic panel. It's not an easy task. You know, I'm used to giving technical talks in conferences. So when Marek said that I should summarize, I was a little daunted, but I'll try my best, you know, to do justice to this beautiful panel that was moderated by Barry. Well, bringing together science and multilateral diplomacy in quantum is a unique task, right? As of today, the quest to harness the power of quantum technology inclusively is simply beginning. The OQI is spearheading this effort. It is a collective global endeavor, and it will be successful. You know, we are all convinced that it will be successful. It's getting launched today, but it will be successful because of how diverse the community is. And we saw this in the panel today, right? Like the diversity in the panel itself is representative of what OQI stands for. Playing a stakeholder engagement role in OQI, I am personally committed to its growth. And I'm humbled by this inclusivity and diversity that, you know, has been there in the profiles of the members of OQI. So we have mere mortals like us, you know, academic researchers. Then we have people from the private sector who make all this possible. Then we have the NGOs, and then we have the philanthropists. So, you know, it's a huge spectrum, and it's absolutely remarkable how we have achieved this in this time frame. So during the panel, as Barry kept reminding us, we have, you know, discussed 3 of the 4 A's. Yeah? So that define the core objectives of the OQI. And I would like to share a few reflections on the 4th A, which is activating the multilateral governance. This is an essential pillar of OQI. I you know, personally have had the honor of shaping India's national quantum strategy and its implementation. As you may know, we launched our national quantum mission in April this year. And I have shared insights as a scientist and participated, you know, in the coming up of the draft project report, which led to the formulation and launch of the National Quantum Mission. And now I look forward, you know, as always, as a scientist, to actively participate in making all this happen and taking it to a successful fruition. So being part of India's effort is a real privilege for me. And I'm filled with gratitude to have had such an amazing opportunity to contribute to this one-of-a-kind initiative. But, you know, this is not enough. And of course, that is what we are here for. We need to take a step further. Many of us now, as countries, we have national quantum strategies. But it won't make a lot of sense if we don't get together under an umbrella, and which is what OQI is providing us, you know. So as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stated in our Common Agenda Policy Brief, With advances in science, humanities, and technology, there are enormous opportunities that could be harnessed for the good of all humanity, present and future. So if we want this to happen, we must elevate our efforts to the multilateral level. We cannot be, closed box problems, working in our own silos. We have to get together to make something. So as we say, quantum, whole is more than the sum of parts, and that is what we will achieve with OQI. So all geographies, whether or not, they have or host quantum capability, should have a say on how we leverage the technology for good. So this is what exactly we are trying to support with the OQI and its diplomatic community. And I'm delighted to announce today the publication of the intelligence report on multilateral governance of quantum computing for the SDGs, which has been developed by GESDA's Diplomatic Forum as a part of the incubation of the OQI. So 21 permanent representatives in Geneva, including one from India, have contributed to this work, and meeting at least once a month to advance a joint understanding. You can imagine how difficult it is to get these 21 busy people under one forum, and I know my colleagues Marek and others have that conviction to make this happen, and so that is how it has happened. The report clarifies where we stand today in the multilateral governance of the technology, where potential benefits and risks should be anticipated and addressed. So topics addressed include the access, the sustainable development goals, applications, security, environment impact, and standardization initiatives. This report serves as a resource to enlighten the path forward in maximizing the potentialities that is offered by quantum computing. And we saw this in this beautiful video. It is meant for the people, society, and planet. So we welcome your contributions to enrich this first edition of the report. And we hope, that this 2025 UN Year of Quantum will also help us enrich and expand on our multilateral approach to making quantum available for all. So it's primarily intended for the attention of a maximum of diplomats, okay? But it is also a key element for every person interested in quantum and its applications. So I'm looking forward to hearing, the reflections of the ministers in the upcoming dialogue this morning. So in the meantime, let us take immense pride in what we as the OQI community have achieved so far. And I must say, wow, right? And we have really done fantastic, and I really hope that this continues with our various phases, and the promise that lies ahead. So let us keep in mind that ultimately our mission is not just our quantum science. That is what it tends to be for people like us, but we just want to play a small role in ensuring a brighter future for all of us, for all of humanity. And we hope that what we are doing with quantum will pave the way for like-minded approaches in some of the technologies of the GESDA radar that it is anticipating, right? So together we can make the quantum leap towards a world of innovation, diplomacy, and boundless possibilities. So thank you for your kind attention, and may our journey be fruitful and transformative. As I say, may the force be with us. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for those who came on the stage, and thanks to all of you for participating. I'm going to draw this session to a close. Our next session, we'll hear about the high-level political segment, or Bashi mentioned a bit. You've heard numerous achievements of the OQI. It's evolved from the radar stage to this mature level where there's community building in the quantum area, industry, academia, adopters of the technology. And we're on a really good path from GESDA's early days of brainstorming to making a viable institute that does a lot of good for the world. Thanks again to the speakers, to the audience, and remember that you can communicate to the community about what's going on through hashtag GESDA Summit. Thanks.
Thank you very much to all the speakers of this amazing panel that was discussing the story, the journey of the incubation of the OQI. We go now to a break. We convene back here at 10:45, and then we start with the ministerial panel on the quantum policy and high-level segment. Thank you very much.